I trust everyone's rooting for the Oilers. Go team.
Do you think everyone's rooting for your oil? Do you think you're going to get the language in the communique today that can help you get product to the Pacific Coast?
I hope so. I mean, I think that there seems to be an appetite to talk about getting pipelines built so that we can get oil and gas to market. The problem is, unless we address the 9 terrible policies that have damaged investor confidence, we're not going to get the proponents coming forward with major investments. So I think it's got to be a 2-track process. Let's get the commitment that we are going to build a new pipeline, and then I'll have to work with the Prime Minister to make sure that we can repeal or significantly amend the policies.
Today, in the absence of a project to fast track, does that satisfy your demands while you work on the other things? I know you've got the 9 policies. That's going to take more time than I think one meeting in Saskatoon to see movement there. So would language today of a willingness to fast-track an energy corridor to northern British Columbia, does that satisfy you?
Having an energy corridor to northern British Columbia that includes a bitumen pipeline would be a good first step in the communique. Understanding that we won't get a serious proponent from the private sector unless we address those underlying conditions. It's the reason why the federal government had to step in the first time, when there were no proponents willing to take forward Trans Mountain. If we're going to continue building pipelines, we have to change the environment. And I've made that point very clear to the Prime Minister, and I'm looking forward to working with him and his energy minister to see how quickly we can address those underlying factors.
The west to east pipeline, and what's your message to Quebec?
I would say that the most we have a lot of collaboration at our Western Premier's table. You may have seen that our west to east proposal was from the northwest BC coast, probably Prince Rupert, to Hudson Bay, which is Churchill. And I think if we can do that and get icebreakers, then we would be able to bring ships up and over and be able to feed those East Coast refineries and also be able to get onto Europe. I'm interested in working with partners who want to work with me. And I think what I've heard, and you heard from the Premier before me, that he's quite interested in seeing Churchill work.
You don't see a pipeline project going through Quebec, so you abandon that?
I'd like them all.
You think it's too complicated?
I'd like them all, but I've got to work with where I think we're going to have the most success. And where I think we'll have the most success right now is working on a corridor between Hudson Bay and Port of Prince Rupert. And I hope that we can get some common ground on that.
Premier, why tie Alberta right now? Because here in Saskatchewan, we know that they're mostly man-made.
Yeah.
Do you think that it's worth bringing up at a federal level, maybe with Parks Canada, having an agreement to hopefully curb some of these preventable wildfires?
Yeah, we found last year that we had 67% of fires were human-caused. We did a major campaign, an awareness campaign. We were able to reduce that to 57%. And so I think that those awareness campaigns are important. So I would hope that the federal government would maybe assist in getting other provinces to do the same. Maybe other provinces can look at what we are doing. But the wind has dramatically changed our situation in Alberta. We were able to provide resources to other communities. We've had to call them home. We went from having about 9,000 hectares burned last week to over 400,000 now. We've got nearly 5,000 people evacuated. We are about to restart our Emergency Management Committee of Cabinet because this is an indicator with so many communities facing evacuation that we've got to be able to respond in a way that is going to be rapid. So we're facing very similar conditions now to Manitoba and Saskatchewan once again for the 3rd year in a row.
Why tie the issue of getting a commitment for an oil pipeline to national unity?
Well, you have to understand just how damaged Alberta is by the fact that we didn't get pipelines built. If we had built Northern Gateway, if we'd built Keystone and we'd built Energy East, we'd have 2.5 million barrels more per day of production, which is $55 billion a year worth of GDP value, which is worth $17 billion to my government alone and about an equal amount to the federal government. So this is not just an ideological argument. It's not just a minor disagreement. Oil is by far the most valuable export for Canada. Any of the projects that you will see on the ultimate list, I will tell you that a bitumen pipeline will be by far the greatest benefit to all of Canada. That's why we're going to continue to push for it, because it's a good project. It's good for our country. There's $9 trillion worth of value in discoverable and achievable reserves right now. And so why would you leave that in the ground? No other country in the world would, and we shouldn't either.
That's all the time we have for questions,
Okay.
guys. You have to get out to the meeting.